All right, here we go. Any questions on the homework before we grade it?
Yeah, I didn't do it.
I will never forget to put a zero in the grade book if you don't do your homework.
You should make the score like 5 times more easier.
Any real questions on the homework before we grade it?
No, it was
If you
really
get in
easy.
trouble for
Good
something
deal.
you didn't do.
All right, everybody hush so we can go over these questions. Hey, your homework should be out in front of you so that we can grade it. Let's go.
I have a question. Can I ask you?
I should have.
Would you get in trouble for something you didn't do?
No, we're focused on the math.
I don't have a pencil.
Hey,
I will ask you.
quiet, please. And here we go. 1 through 24 all. Number 1 is 0.93 or 0.93. Number 2, 0.46. Number 3, 1.14. Number 4, 1.75. Number 5, 2.6. Number 6, 11.5. Number 7, 0.495. Number 8, 0.782. Number 9, 0.006. Number 10, 0.9944. Number 11, 0.0005. There's a lot of zeros. Number 12, 0.00032. Number 13, 59%. Number 14, 87%. Number 15, 9%. Number 16, 7.5%. Number 17, 260%. Number 18, 1,060, 1060%. Number 19, 1,283%. Number 20, 501%. Number 21, 0.7%. Number 22, 3.3%. Number 23, 8.67%. And the last one, number 24, 0.26%. That is it. Everyone makes mistakes, just don't make them on test day and you'll be good to go.
I know, it's real.
What if you're not happy? What if you're not happy? Imagine being happy in life. If there's a book where is and you say I can't come when there's a book where come and watch this walk and stuff like the mental health. No.
But we haven't made that decision yet, but I think that's probably what we're leaving. All right, timeouts. Hey, listen up. So today, we are going to do something that historically, listen please. Today, we're going to do something that historically, the kids that pay attention get this immediately. I mean, they get this rock solid. It's no big deal. And historically, the kids that sit there and they're not focused or they're not paying attention, they will not get this. Trust me when I say, if you pay attention, you will get this immediately. It's not that hard. However, if you're not paying attention, this can be very confusing. You put things in the wrong place, hands down. All right, homework, copy down. There's only 10 problems. They are done not necessarily quickly, but this is not 30 minutes worth of homework. Hey. I warn you again, historically, the kids that pay attention, I have lots of examples. We will run out of time before I run out of examples. But historically, the kids that don't pay attention, they'll tell me, I don't understand this. I'm going to point out it's specifically because you're not paying attention and you're not asking questions as I teach this. As I teach this and there's something I say you don't understand, your job as a student is to ask the question immediately. Hey, I don't get this. What's going on? Okay, probably not.
Okay. First one, I think I can.
All right, time out. A lot of times in math, there's a concept that looks seemingly very challenging, but as it's explained to you, taught to you, it turns out it's no big deal. Today's one of those days. So it's called computing with percent. Sometimes these are called percent problems. You may have heard of them before, although 7th grade is generally where they're introduced to you. You see these problems all the way up through high school. We're going to calculate percent problems. So think about this. If I gave you the number 40 and I ask you to take 50% of 40, how would you do that? Well, one way of doing it would be, well, I take 40 and I times it by that specific percent. Remember, we define percent as a number compared to 100, so 50% will be 50 over 100, and I simply multiply 40, the number that you're given, times that 50 over 100. So if I do that, well, let's see, what goes in, I'm going to do some cross reduction here. What goes into 40 and 100? 20 goes into 40 twice, 20 goes into 100 5 times. We multiply with fractions by multiplying straight across. 2 times 50,
100.
and that would be 100 over 5. Well, 5 goes into 100 how many times? So it turns out that 50% of 40 is 20. Well, that makes sense because half of 40 is 20. So what just happened? We did something what is called a percent problem. They will give you a number. They will ask you to take a percent, and they will ask you to either calculate the answer or calculate other pieces, parts. I'm not sure why there's hands up right now. I haven't got to a point where I need questions asked. Okay? All right. So this is in yellow how the problem is typically written. You see this?
Yeah.
20 is 50% of 40. We calculated what was 50% of 40. It was 20. So now I can make a complete statement. This statement in yellow is your entire homework tonight. The statement in yellow is how all the problems will be written. Do you know what they're going to do though? They're going to take out one of those numbers. They're either going to take away the 40 and put a variable, or they're going to take away the 50% and put a variable, or they'll take away the 20 and put a variable. And your job is to calculate that. A seemingly impossible thing, I will give you a magic formula that does that work for you. Well, in essence, you still do the work, but you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to give you a formula for this. Okay? All right. So 20 is 50% of 40. That's what all the problems are going to look like tonight. They're simply just going to erase one of these numbers. You've got to figure out what it is. It's a straight up algebra problem. All right. So 40, I'm not sure. What is the question?
I'm just asking, what does it say? Page.
Stop. Stay up here. I'll get to there right there. All right. 40, remember, was the number that we started with. 20%. What is 50% of 40? 40 is what the book calls the whole. It's the number that you start with. Okay. 50% is what the book calls the percent. Okay, I'll buy that. That makes sense. They call 20 part of the whole. So the book will use these three words, part, percent, and whole, to describe this, what's written right here. Okay, so far so good? Now we're at question mark. Yes.
This is the example you did.
No. Questions on what I did. What?
Why is the part? Why is 20 called part?
Well, if you think about whole as the starting part, right? I don't want to use the word part, as the start, right? 20 is not equal to 40, it's less than 40. That's why it's part of 40.
Oh, okay.
All right. So that's how the book explains it, right? I do want you to notice that there is an is, there is a percent, and there's the word of. Suspicious. Okay, write this down, please, box number 1. Now, we are going to write the way the book explains it. Okay. 3 things. The word percent. In this construction right here in blue, percent is just that number that has a percent symbol attached to it. I should see pencils moving in box number 1. The part will be the number that's attached to the word is. What do I mean by attached to the word is? It's not going to be the number next to it. Now, I'm going to be careful. I didn't say it's the number to the right or to the left of the word is. I said it's the word that's attached to the word is, grammatically speaking. Yes, this is probably the one time, other than normal word problems, where we're going to have to rely on some knowledge of the English language to associate a number, in this case with a verb, is. So 20 is, that's the part. And lastly, the whole, we're going to call that the number next to the word of. Once again, I didn't say it's the number to the right or to the left of the word of. I said it's the number attached to or the number next to. If you can read English, well, this is not a big deal. Occasionally, I'll get some English language learners in class that struggle with this. All of you speak better English than I do. You'll be fine with this. But occasionally, I do get some kids that like They're learning English, and this is a really challenging math class for them. But not for you guys. All right, do we have those 3 words copied down?
Not yet, I'm on hold.
If you open up your book, this is what they use. Percent, part, and the word whole. All right, Lily.
I'm not-
I forgot, but in the it's also the game here with the red dot and the green dot means.
Red just means you're writing something down and on it. Green means you're doing work without my help, and blue means we work the problem through together. All right. Here comes the magic. I said I was going to be a magic formula to use, right? The magic formula that the book used comes from that construction we did before. 50% can be written as 50 over 100. 20 is the part, 40 was the whole. If we reduce both of these fractions, we get exactly the same number, 1/2. And by the way, if we convert 1/2 to a percent, that's 50%. We simply smack a equal sign in between the two, and that is how we make our magic formula. So our magic formula now, well, this is the one specific example of it. What the book does is it erases these and it places the words that you just wrote in box number 1. What do we say percent was? Percent was 50. So instead of this 50, their magic formula has the word percent. Don't write this down.
Don't.
100 is the only one that stays 100. The 20 was what's associated with the word is, so that's your part. And the number that's associated with 40 is the of, so the whole goes down here. So this is the formula that you see in the book. And after many, many years of teaching this, many math books use this, I decided that I didn't like this formula. I came up with my own because I find students do better with it. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this formula. It's the one in the book. If you like this one, use this one. I'm going to simply modify this to make it easier for students. The big but here is that notice in red is percent of. And what I have found is that kids, if I say the word part and whole, they're not too descriptive. So what I choose to do is instead of using the word part, use the word whole. Guess what I use?
Is and
I use is and of. Okay. So in box 2, this is what's in your book, right? If Ace has got his open, this is the one that they say to use. I like this one better, and I think you will as well too. So write this one down, box 2. I'm going to have both of these appear so you can always see them. If you don't buy into mine, then use theirs from the book. But you got to figure out what part is the part, what part is the whole. Sometimes that can be slightly confusing. However, when written in English, they will always use the word is and of. That's kind of why I chose to use it this way. So it's going to be is over of. Notice it's alphabetically top to bottom. I comes before O. So in case you forget it. Right. Percent's always percent. 100's always 100. So we got is over of, percent over 100.
Well, this worked perfectly.
Agreed. Like I said, I found that kids do better with this one in yellow than they do with this one right here. That's in the book. All right. Does everybody have a copy down? Basically, after I do the first one or the second one, there's this question only asked 3 ways. Either find the is, the of, or the percent. Once I go through one round of it, I will have kids say, okay, I got it. I'll have other kids that need multiple examples. And as I said, today in class, I'm going to run out of time before I run out of examples. Don't quit after your first one, but after we get through all 3, you solve for an is, an of, or percent, and you know what you're doing, get started on your homework, right? All right, so don't panic. So is the part, of is the whole. That's what's in the book, and in yellow is the one that I want you to use. So here we go. What's of the 3 things here, what's the easiest one to identify? Notice percent is always going to have a percent symbol on it. Okay, that's easy. Percent goes right here, right? So here's my starting proportion. You don't need to write this, right? But if I were to leave that there and erase, I would erase the word percent and write what?
8%.
Okay. I didn't do this in order. Sorry. But yeah, 8 would go in percent. Hey, guess what the of number is?
75.
So do you see where it says what number is? Well, that's the one that they want you to find. Where you see the word what, Whatever comes after it, that's what your variable is going to be. Variable will be. In this case, what number is? That's what we don't know. So the is becomes your x. Percent is your 8, and of is your 75. And I'm not going to claim that this is necessarily a fun process after this point, but it's an understandable process. Hey, check it out. We have a proportion, 2 fractions separated by an equal sign. The way you solve this is cross multiplication. Okay, remember cross multiplication?
No.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
8 times 75 by 8 and 100 times that.
Okay, so we do x times 100, that's 100x, right? 8 times 75, oh, big number. But the process is simple to understand in essence of what you need to do. Well, I need to multiply 75 times 8. I'll do it for you, 600. Now we solve for x, one-step equation. Hey, that's why we had last chapter, solve for one-step equations. What do we do to both sides?
Divide by
Therefore, x equals,
6.
and you're done. So what number is 8% of 75? 6. 6 is 8% of 75. That's how it's done. The only issue, the hard part is, well, these will not be friendly numbers. So you will have to do some long, this was easy, but most of the time it's, well, you got to do some multiplication and you got to do some division. Generally speaking, sometimes not with nice friendly numbers.
This is like,
So do you need to write this in yellow as your answer? No, 6 is fine, right? I'm just going to write it here in yellow so you can see the completed process. Okay, 6 is the answer to this question. We good?
yes.
All right, so that's solving for an is, and I'll show you what it's like to solve for an of or a percent. Okay, so anyone like this girl, or like, I have no idea what you just did? Good. All right, so box 3, if you want to work along with me, work along with me. This is the same as the previous one. What number is, well, what number is associated with the word is?
It's a variable.
Yeah, there's no number there because it literally asks what number is. So is will be my variable. Does everyone understand why I'm putting a variable for the word is? I'm letting is equal x. 25% goes where?
Over the 100.
What number are we putting in for of?
80.
That was easy enough.
Well, this is the easy part, filling that in. The hard part now is the cross multiplication. So what's the cross multiplication?
The cross multiplication is you do 80 times 25,
Equals,
2,000.
no. That equals that.
Yeah.
So 80 times 25 equals,
100 times that.
there you go. That's the proportion that we said. Now I usually do this cross product first, but doing it the other way is fine. Okay, so 100x is equal to 80 times 25, and you told me that 80 times 25 is what? 560? I don't think so.
2000.
2,000 is what I got. You okay? Questions, Jameson?
First, you got to.
You were trying to, okay, tell me what to do next.
You divide everything by 100.
This time we're going to divide everything by 100. 2,000 divided by 100 is
100.
what?
200.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said originally 200.
200 is not right, because remember, divided by 100 means get rid of 2 zeros. So I got rid of 2 zeros, it's 1. So if there's an issue with this, what's the issue?
Division.
The division is generally where most people don't have too much trouble with multiplication, but this one will require some long division occasionally. This one you could have done if you were on the ball. Okay. Do you need to write this? No, I'm just showing you what the complete statement would look like if we plug in 20 to the original statement. 20 is the answer. That's as far as you need to go. Who's lost? We just solved for what did we just solve for?
80.
What did we just solve for?
What is the is?
We solved for an is. We still need to see an example of solving for of and solving for percent. So here we go. What's it literally say at the start?
What percent?
So guess what I'm missing?
The percent.
I'm missing the percent. Do you see that? It generally always has the word what somewhere, and that's generally where your x is going to go.
Says what?
So what percent? I don't know. So that becomes my x. See what I did?
Yes.
What's the very next thing it says?
40.
Where do you think that goes?
In the up.
Therefore, there's only thing one's left is 6, right? Kids that mess this up try to read, I don't know, in the middle of a sentence. If you notice the word or the number 40 has what between it? It's got both of and is. So if you kind of are looking at the middle of this, well, then it kind of, you don't know which one is 40 get the of or the is. However, if you read it naturally, left to right, it makes way much more sense. Yes?
Yes.
All right, what's the cross multiplication, Egan?
Vegan.
Keegan? I'm thinking of his brother.
6 and 100.
6 times 100? And what's the second one?
40 times x.
So 6 times 100 equals 40 times x. Well, we can do that in our head. What's 6 times 100?
600.
Notice you're always going to have 100 in the formula. So one of your multiplication or divisions is always going to be easy because you're either multiplying by 100 or dividing by 100. Right? In this case, we're multiplying by 100. That's pretty easy. Okay. What are we going to do to both sides?
Divided by 40.
All right. So we write our first one where life is not pleasant. We have to do some long division.
No.
So let's see. 600 divided by 40. 40 goes into 6 how many times?
1. I mean, 0 times.
0 times. 40 goes into 60 how many times?
1.
1 times 40, 40, subtract 20, bring down to 0. 40 into 200.
5.
So what's the answer?
15.
Now I did that very quickly with her help. It may take you a little bit longer, but that's okay. But yes, typically division is where we slow down a little bit. So we got 15. 15 is the answer. You don't need to go any further than that. However, if we were to plug 15 into our original sentence, what would it say?
What percent of 40 is 6?
We just calculated that.
15 is the
15 what?
15 is the percent.
What were we
of 40.
solving?
15%.
50% of 40 is 6. Okay, that's, do you have to do the second part? No. Okay, when you're solving for the percent, this is the only one that's weird. Your answer technically isn't 15. Your answer is
X equals
no,
15%.
15%, right. When you're solving for an of or an is, whatever number there, that's the answer, 15. But if you're solving for a percent, yeah, you got to tack on the percent symbol. Did I lose anybody on that point?
No.
All right. Box 5.
These are like really fun.
Read it. Malcolm.
140.
Stop. One more word. One more word. One more word. Okay. So guess where that goes? Let him answer. Malachi? Is that clear or is that like muddy to you? Yeah. It's usually pretty clear. The only issue is you got to know where to stop yourself, right? Okay, so we're going to put 140 where the word is. Keep reading. Stop. Where does that go? Because that's your of, 35%. What's the symbol right here? So you're saying it goes to of. Okay, so it goes in place of the word percent. Okay, well, what's the next thing it says? Of what number? Right? So the point I was trying to make before is, generally speaking, every one of these examples will have a what in it, and that's generally speaking where your variable goes. What's that? Oh yeah, I got to print that one out. I will give it to you for the okay? Yeah. You gotta know that. All right, sorry for that.
I'm getting scared.
Of what number that becomes my x cross multiplication? Malachi, continue.
Then you do cross multiplication.
Tell me what to write.
X times 30.
So I write x times 35. Keep talking. And wake up.
And then
Take the head off.
times 100.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. I generally, Malachi, I generally do, not because it's easier, quicker, I just always follow my, if this is your pattern, stick with it the rest of your life.
Whichever one.
That's a good technique as well, too. Okay. Multiplying anything times 100 just means adding 2 zeros. Last step. Okay, so if there's a problem with this process, Malachi, what's the problem? Every single one of these problems breaks down to long division, right? So that's the only hiccup with this. I mean, it's not a huge hiccup, but it just means that we're always going to be doing long division. So 14000 divided by 35. Let's see, does 35 go into 1?
No.
0. Does 35 go into 14?
No.
0. 35 must go into 140. This is a harder one. Can you
Yes,
count?
it does.
Can you count by 35?
Yes. 35, 70, 105, 140.
So how many times is that?
4.
How can he do that?
Because,
It's not that hard.
well, he did it quickly. We can all do it at various speeds, but you literally in your brain or in your mind's eye, you're thinking of a 3 and a 5 and a 3 and a 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry your 1. 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So 70. And then he repeats that process. The people that can visualize that math, right?
I just counted by
Yeah, but I'm saying I know, but there's some visualization that goes on there as well too. Because somewhere in your brain you're thinking 5 plus 5 is 0, right? All right, but he is correct. So we get 140. Now here's the issue when you do the subtraction. You see, I still have 2 zeros left. Some kids will stop and say the answer is 4. You need to put the extra 2 zeros there, so the answer is actually 400. Now I'll write you the final statement here. You do not need to do that. So read this, Malachi, with that number in there now.
140 is 35% of the number.
Perfect. Now it kind of makes sense. All right, we good?
Yes.
We did one of every single thing. We solved for an is twice. We solved for a percent once, and we solved for an of. That's the last one the Malachi just did. All right. Are there any questions? All right. What's the hardest part of this entire process?
Long division.
A long division.
Everything. Because
All right.
you don't have to do that.
Now to answer the question all of you were focused on, why does the sheet of paper have on it page 290? Because I'm going to let you now pick one that you want to do together. All right. So I'm going to give you 3 answers for the homework. All right.
Why?
Nice. Oh, I did
Who
the
thinks
class
they were going to struggle with this?
Oh, I did the class exercise.
Lily, pick one.
Hold on, I need to. I've got one.
290. 290. You can get the second one.
Three.
What time do we get out of here?
Oh, never mind. I did way harder.
We get out of here at 9:12. Okay, so we got about 8 minutes. We could probably do at least 3.
I actually did the class exercises.
All right, Malachi, she's given up. Which one you want to try? Number 10. All right, somebody read me the words.
48 is what?
48 is what percent? Keep reading.
Percent of 72.
Of 72. All right, Lily, you're on the spot. Read it. Remember, the magic proportion is over of equals percent over 100. Okay, pretty clear for that one, right? So 48 becomes your is, 72 becomes your of. She's kind of skipping around, but that's fine. We don't know what the percent is. That's my variable. Okay. Setup is 100%, and generally speaking, I will get this. My kids will be able to do this. So the only issue now is we got to do the math. Okay, Lily, give me cross products. So 48 times 100, and the second one that will equal 72, and I'm just going to put an X. Okay, 48 times 100 is just 48 with 2 zeros. When you multiply by 100, you simply add 2 zeros. So we get 4,800 is equal to 72x. Last step, Lily. Both sides by 72. Okay, so you've made it to the very last step. Unfortunately, the last step is that long division. All right, 4,800 goes on the inside, 72 on the outside. Lily, the 72 go into 4. It's a 4, it's not a 14. No, so I put a 0 or a dash or leave it blank. Does 72 go into 48? No, 0 or a dash. 480, okay, now we're back to his issue, right? He might be able to count by 72s. The rest of us, we can't. So I'm going to say, instead of thinking about the number 72, think about the number, what's a friendlier number? 70, right? Fingers, right? Finger math. Count by 70s. 7 times 1 is, and all we're really doing is count by 7. 70, 140, keep going. 210, 28, you're perfect. Keep going. We got to get to 480. 350, 42, 490. Too big. So, well, I'm not out of fingers here, but we had 6 fingers. This is how I do long division for those of you that still struggle with it. I'm not going to count by 72s because after I get 2 or 3 into that, I can't do it anymore. I'm going to make that a nice friendlier number. My answer might be wrong. It's a guess. We guess 6. I still need to actually do the math though. 6 times 2 is 12, carry my 1. 6 times 7 is 42 plus 1 is 43. When I subtract, if I get a number that's bigger than 72, I guess too small, right? If I get a number that's bigger than 480, I guess too large. I will only ever have to adjust by 1. And generally speaking, I get it right the first time. 2 from 10, I'm borrowing from the 8. 2 from 10 leaves an 8. 3 from 7 leaves a 4. I get 480 again. Oh, guess what we're going to get here? I got literally the same number. So guess what we're going to get here?
Repeating.
We're going to get a repeating decimal, just a string of 6s. So the final answer is 66. Does it say round, anybody?
Round.
To the nearest?
Round to the answer to the nearest 10.
66.7. There is your answer. Done. Were we solving for a percent?
Yes.
Oh, so we got to have one extra thing, which is
Percent symbol.
percent symbol, and we're done. 66.7% done. We have time for one more. We're doing number 9. Read it.
What percent of 36?
Oh, we're doing another percent one. All right. So what percent? Keep on.
What percent of 36 is 40?
Of 36
It's 30.
is 30. Okay. Malachi, plug them in.
Oh, this one. I said
What percent? Does it have a number there? So therefore we put a variable. Okay, so variable for percent, 100 is always 100. And then, there we go. All right, cross products. Okay, so I'll do it your way. 36x is equal to 30 times 100. When you're multiplying by 100, I forget the x. When you multiply 100, that just does a 30 with 2 zeros. So we got 3,000. Last step. Let's see if this one is prettier. Let's see, 3,000 divided by 36. Does 36 go into 3? 0. Does 36 go into 30? 300. 36 is close to. Let's count by 4s, except for count by 40s.
It's close to 35.
You can, but I bet you won't be able to count by 35s. All right, 40s. 40, 80, 120. I'm trying to get to 30. 300, sorry. 160, 200, 240, 280. It's 7 fingers, right? So we're going to guess about 7. We could be right. We could be off by 1. Probably a little bit too short, maybe, but we'll see. 7 times 6 is 42. Carry a 4. 7 times 3, 21. Plus 4, 25. We might be all right. Let's see. Subtract that. 2 from 10 is an 8. 5 from 9 is a 4. Oh, we got a 48, and you're off by 1. Like I said, this method, you'll only ever be off by 1. 8 times 6, 48. Carry 4. 8 times 3, 24. Plus 4, 28. Okay, much better. That gives me a 2, 1, 120. 36 into 120. That's 40 into 120. We're guessing 3, maybe 4, right? It's 3. We're gonna get an 83, and we're out of time. Finish the long division, you'll get to it. It's at least 83% and some change.
83.333
So it's another repeating decimal.
No, 5. It's 7 3s and then 5.
I would have to see that one.
True. It's true.
All right.
Because I calculated.
Have a good weekend. Make sure you do your homework.
I calculated that 1/6 of 100 is 16.
1 through 11 all.
1 through 11?
Wait,
Wasn't it?
10.
10. Why did we do number 11?
No, we did 10 and 9.
Oh, 10. Right. I'll give you a worksheet for the other day. It'll probably be 6 period because that's my period off.
Wait, Mr. Chartier, can you calculate it and make sure that I'm like?
I don't think you're right, but.
I am.
All right, e-learners, any questions? Nobody's online. If you have any questions, send me a chat or email. I will catch you next week. Have a good weekend.
Mr. Shut up.